Hi Calvin, can you tell us a little bit about the AMTD group and what you do?
Sure. AMTD is not a new company to the market. I mean, it's a company founded back into early 2000 by Hong Kong Group. At that time, it meant to be a company thinking already about big data. So the meaning of AMTD is actually add minus time divide. Number correlation, data usage, thinking about how to make good use of the data to do an independent wealth management company. So that's the original AMTD. So over the years, the company has been growing, but I wouldn't say that it's very exciting. Mostly because that in the Hong Kong market at that time is still not yet mutual market exchange with China. Also that the tech part or the digitalization progress in Hong Kong, has not been as speedy as in China or in other places, right? So then, the making good use of data has not been widely open-end, right? And it becoming a financial institution very traditionally, but then I see the opportunity. So my background been with investment bank for so many years, not only doing investment banking, but also focusing into strategy. So I see this company having very good background, having a blue chip company as the original founder. Later on, I brought into the company Morgan Stanley Private Equity and transforming it into a new way of doing financial services. I got the opportunity to come into the company to take up leadership. So that was the time when all these internet companies from China, from globally around the world become much more excited, become from a niche into more critical mass, and they all want to do something cross dimensional, or most of them have an interest to do financial services. So I see that there is an opportunity to use new way of thinking or even internet mindset to run a financial services company. The first day I do create this new AMTD, I'm not thinking about just building a financial services company. I'm thinking about building an ecosystem. So I want to have an ecosystem that could provide sustainability, consistency, and client stickiness. So the way that I see it is that I want every client to be very much contained. The longer that I will be able to serve the client, the more diversity of products, services that I could make the client happy or create values for them, then the more success I could be. So I do or build a new AMTD into several verticals. One, investment banking. So that's the most area that I spend all my years of time. Of course, I most familiarized with. And second, asset management, insurance, and proprietary investment. So each of this, I'm going to tell you a bit about a little story. So investment banking in Asia landscape, you see lots of changes in the past few years, right? Mostly in the previous years, dominating by global investment bank, bulge bracket. Over time, when you see more of the fundraising flows, dominating by Chinese companies. So more of the Chinese or state-owned investment bank from China, they become much more stronger. But then what's missing part is actually a Hong Kong rooted investment bank, that every company, even globally, coming here to take advantage of the Hong Kong market. But then you ought to be seeing a local player that hopefully playing well the Hong Kong's role as a super connector, that someone, if you see a player that could be more international than the local and more local than international, globalization is the core theme into how I build AMTD, investment bank especially. So I built out this investment bank really as a disruptor in the investment banking field. Nowadays you see more and more of the entrepreneurs with younger age, right? Much younger than myself as well. And then they are the people that they hate multiple layers of hierarchy. They are very attend to details, but also the actual results, right? They want to cut all the unnecessary path and talk about the hardcore results or values that each and one another that could create for each other, and also thinking about longer term collaboration, right? So myself also as an entrepreneur, building out this new AMTD, seeing lots of similarities in terms of culture, in terms of how we think about the next future, with lots of these issuers, founders, or leaders of companies, right? So we see more of these issuers coming here to raise funds as building out new friendship, but also seeing as a point to connect my ecosystem into their ecosystem, right? So making more friendly circle of my ecosystem extension. So I used to call my ecosystem, or we give it a name, SpiderNet. SpiderNet, thinking of ourselves as Spider-Man. When your magazine or your ranking is Superman, but we are all part of the Super League anyway, right? And then for the Spider-Man or the SpiderNet, we want to be very sticky with the client. So through the spider web, we attract and onward, being very sticky for every client. But then we don't hold on the client, giving them poison, right? We give them vitamin, we give them empowerment, we enable them, we create total value solutions for them. And out of the spider web, we also connect the different stakeholders, partners, friends in between each other, creating more values in between their different connectivity, and empowering or creating a bigger net. So that's how we see the ecosystem. So that allows us to be very disruptive in the investment banking field. So I think just taking the TMT, the new economy sector, as one example, over the past few years, virtually most of the bigger giants coming out here to list in Hong Kong, especially those from China, the internet companies, the technology companies, most of those, we serve them very well. And also consistently, every point of contact, the internet mindset again, we see it as the first point of client acquisition. So we will have the client very sticky onto the overall relationship, and we cross-sell them into different verticals. Through IPO, we cross-sell them into asset management. We asset manage the money for them. We become their offshore treasurer, running their asset management pocket for them. So over time, by now, we have some very good achievement. We become the largest Asia asset management, running the most offshore AUM, US dollar for China TMT companies offshore. We are the largest Asia asset manager, running the most US dollar AUM offshore for Chinese regional banks offshore. And among different other clients that we serve them, we become a very strong asset manager. But along the same time, when we see these clients or help these clients to go overseas under the China's national strategy, policy, Belt and Road, Greater Bay, we see more of these companies embracing internationalization, right? They want to go abroad. So they will expand into new asset classes, at the same time also exposed to new risk classes, right? So we gradually becoming the largest Hong Kongese insurance broker, or we call it the risk solution provider to these corporates. We work on a B2B2C model. So we serve any one single company. We serve the overall asset classes for this single company, analyzing how many risk classes they have, finding the best risk solution protection insurance packages. Sorry. So that's actually how we serve this different client. Cross-selling in between the different verticals, creating more values for the client, but also for us in combined.
So Calvin, you mentioned Spider-Man, which obviously we're very fond of superhero figures, as your name for the spider web, which is how you define your ecosystem. So it'd be interesting to know how you see your building of that ecosystem and how it is different to how it's done in the rest of the world.
Well, I think SpiderNet, or the ecosystem, I think is really not only about Tom at the top. I think it's an overall culture, or you're really talking about DNA in your blood, right? So I think in the company, I think it's very important that the new AMTD, or as in every virtual platform that you see newer players coming to build, right? We do not have the burden of the old, right? I think every employee of AMTD right now, we run the company or we operate the individual businesses with this mindset. Well, first of all, we look into individual performances, not by your single line of responsibility. We look into how you could cross collaborate with other verticals, how you could bring businesses into different other verticals, right? And how you are capable or well-rounded Spider-Man, right? So by being a Spider-Man, you don't only serve your own particular people. You want to be a savior. You want to be everywhere. You are helping the whole world, right? So I think this is very important that they need to understand the overall culture of the company, but also what are our most strengths. Because by building the ecosystem, that also means that we are not being everywhere or about everything. We need to be very focused, right? So the different verticals we have, or what are the core strengths of a company, or our complete service capabilities are very important. That these are the ecosystem that we pride ourselves, but at the same time, these are also the different verticals in combined that we could create our values, uniqueness to the client.
You recently joined up with Xiaomi Corporation to establish a virtual bank. Can you tell us how that came about?
So it also came out from the SpiderNet. So when we have the opportunity as a leading investment banking player, now that as we talk about it, as I introduced to you, we already become the largest independent investment bank in Asia. So very glad to let you know that we just recently listed this investment banking platform. Very interestingly, being the first Hong Kong financial institution to list NYSE as a homegrown Hong Kong financial institution, and also being the first Asia independent investment bank to list NYSE. So we got this Xiaomi mandate, and of course we respect Mr. Lei Jun. We respect the Xiaomi platform very, very much. They are very successful, being the largest Internet of Things IoT consumer platform globally. Probably you know that they have over 150 million smart devices connected globally, not counting the smartphones and also the laptops, right? So it's a huge number. But the time when I served them, talking about the IPO, I'm already thinking about, with such an amazing platform they have, such a huge ecosystem they have. Xiaomi also invested a lot into upstream and downstream companies. These are the companies that they know each other through lots of the supply chain data. Through the investment, they have lots of influential power. So a big ecosystem. So I've been thinking about how to connect my ecosystem with Xiaomi ecosystem, or to leverage our Xiaomi ecosystem to empower my ecosystem. So that was the time that I proposed to Xiaomi, with our joint efforts, right? Whether through my international connectivity, I'm just everywhere, as you know that through the Hong Kong FinTech Week, Singapore FinTech Festival, we are the co-organizer since the very early days, right? So we heavily engage and connect with the international world, especially the FinTech community. I was back in early 2016, I was selected by the Institutional Investor magazine as a global FinTech 35. I was selected by the World Economic Forum as one of the young global leader for lots of the FinTech contribution. But out of that, what we can do to contribute to others or to empower the overall. So I suggested that we build a joint venture together, and the name of it actually tell you about what we think about the JV is Insight FinTechs, right? How we could provide, or as a joint venture partner from AMT's side, provide more insights into the global FinTech space, no matter in terms of investment opportunity, no matter in terms of FinTech collaborative partners, no matter in terms of new ideas in FinTech that we could contribute through the JV. So opportunities come later that Hong Kong, thanks to the Hong Kong government, continuous effort to innovate, to allow more FinTech application, giving out this virtual banking licenses. So we apply for it and become the successful winner. The virtual bank there, we started to build.
Okay, so how does this virtual bank change the customer experience?
It will change quite a lot. I think the world is getting more and more digitally connected. I think everything, lifestyle, everything into your payment, everything into how you interact with one another, right, is all through the digital channels, right? So how to make the banking experience connected with the digital world. I think banking services, of course, are highly regulated businesses, right? So I think, it will be very important first is to get the license, right? You need to get the digital bank, the virtual bank license. Then secondly is that how to provide the banking services, within the digital context. This is, of course, very core in terms of the future of banking, right? Then finally is in terms of how you could fulfill the customer needs. I think in nowadays digital world, customers are in greater power. So with the right tools, right licenses, and with the right ecosystem, looking into what are the customer needs, fulfilling the needs, and or be more precise in terms of your product delivery, your service offering, then the winners will be the one that could have all these insights and also the right delivery.
What are the challenges that are slowing the fintech growth and adoption here in Asia?
Well, I think I wouldn't say challenges, but I think there is about an ongoing journey because I think different places the fintech movers or the in terms of no matter the regulators or the fintech operators or the traditional players, they move at different paces, right? Some places they move very fast, right, very advanced. Some places they are catching up the time, right? But I think on the overall basis, I think it's a journey to walk together. I think, and also it's a journey for the overall experience to adding income by. So I think some places or some movers, if they move faster, they will also interrelate or impact or influence the other market, right? So I think on an overall basis, we see that the overall journey are very positive. First of all, talking about digital licenses, you see different places starting to give out licenses or already giving out licenses. Hong Kong, you see Malaysia, you see now Singapore, you see Taiwan, you see different other places, and not only about digital licenses, but even talking about digital currency, you see also PBOC having very clear directional, giving out guidance how they want to march the future journey. So I think the overall journey, I think it's very important that you need to look into it as Asia Pac landscape in combined, right? So I think as we mentioned, the different geography, different places at different paces, but at the same time they're interrelated with each other, or will somehow impact the pace of the different others. But no matter what, as I said, the journey or the overall experience are very positive. I think as an operator, we are seeing ourselves while marching through the road as our natural mission that we would want to get more engaged. We would want to be more front and center, embracing the change. And I think it's really about not that how much you want to do, and it somehow also is a defensive play. That if you don't do it, definitely you will become behind the overall game, or you just become the follower. I think whoever or whichever will become the winners, they must be the ones leading the wave. I think so far, I think AMTD, we are playing very well in terms of our overall positioning. No, not only in terms of a Hong Kong financial institution that you don't see many similar players like us, that we are virtually having a complete service licenses from commercial bank, investment bank, asset management, insurance brokerage, proprietary investment, PE, wealth management, all in combined. I think that complete catalog of service offering through the right channels with the right digital licenses, with the right mindset, and also with the right blood in your DNA, adding up in combined, and with the right ecosystem or many more ecosystem, because ecosystem is something that it ought to be ever growing and ever expanding, and it will be very difficult for one or each other to build your own ecosystem without connecting with the different others, right? So I think we are very active outside connecting and expanding our ecosystem or integrating ourselves with others, right? So we are very confident and stay positive about the future journey.
So, last question. It's quite obvious that AMTD are leading the wave into the future of fintech. So what do you actually see as the future of fintech here in Asia?
I think the future of fintech, are something out of our expectation, I would say. Technology, innovations they shouldn't have the cap. I think nor without any ceiling, right? Because creativities are unlimited power. Creativity are with unlimited power. So I think that I wouldn't want to foresee the future. I will only want to craft the future. And in terms of how we see it, I will go on the journey with lots of anticipation about the positive opportunities in the future. I will walk the journey with lots of thinking about finding more friendly parties, finding more ecosystem partners, and to walk the journey not alone, but with lots of friends. And at the same time, trying to walk the journey by seeing it, the only mission is to creating values, right? For ourselves, for others, and for our customers.